Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on Warrior Chat today. I appreciate it very much. I'm Wayne McCullough. Today's topic is one that I know you'll be interested in, so thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk about student transportation here at Southern York County School District, particularly the financial aspects of student transportation. You know, we transport thousands of children every day, and a significant expense. And we're spending almost $2 million annually for student transportation. So I think it's important data that you'll want to see. Specifically, we're going to talk about data as it relates to other school districts in the state of Pennsylvania, as well as local school districts, is how do we, in providing student transportation services, stack up against other school districts in terms of the financial costs of providing this service. With me to help discuss this is Mr. Doug Walters. Mr. Walters is the coordinator of student transportation here at Southern York County School District. So Doug, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You know, I don't mind saying this. Doug now, he's got a full year in this job and just does an outstanding job. So thank you, Doug, for all you do. And I don't mind saying that because, as you can imagine, it's a difficult job. Providing transportation services has changed over the years. Obviously, just getting 3,000 children to school on time every day is certainly in itself, just the scheduling all that, very time consuming and very detail oriented and so forth. But also it's just, what's changed is this. And I don't mind saying this because I did student transportation 20 some years ago. And, you know, shoot, we had, you know, maybe a dozen changes a year, and now you're dealing with that a day sometimes. And as you know, families are more transient. You know, they're moving in and out. Families change daycare because both spouses are working. You know, there's many single parent families now. So the transportation system just constantly evolves. So I know it's not an easy job, and you do such an excellent job of it. I appreciate it very much. So you've done it a year. Quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts. Well, I guess just based on what you just said, it is a very flexible operation. We do have a lot of systems in place that allow for all those different circumstances that the students and parents need. And in relation to the benchmarking survey that we'll go over the results in a moment, I think many districts are faced with seeing the choice between flexibility and savings. And just my one and only thought really would be that we have successfully achieved a good combination of both, and we'll see that in the results of the survey.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. And I should say this, two things. First, we're going to talk finances today, which I know is very important to all of us. Here's why. Because any money that we can save in our operations, whether it's transportation, whether it's facilities, whether it's food service, any money we can save is money we believe that we can put directly in the classroom to benefit children and benefit the educational program. So our ability, for example, to make sure that we are providing a good, safe, cost-effective transportation system allows us to make sure that resources can be put directly where they have impact on children. And that doesn't matter if it's transportation, again, if we're making sure that our temperature settings in the classroom, if our energy management program is successful. All those, the reason for that, first of all, obviously, is we want to be as efficient as we can, but again, just to make sure those resources are put into the classroom where they're going to be effective in our educational program. That's number one. Number two is this, it takes a team. Doug, you lead the team, but it takes a team. And very, very valuable members of that team are First Student. We contract directly with First Student. Phil Jeffrey, Janet Hagel run that operation over at First Student. They are outstanding. We work together with them day to day. They provide just an outstanding service to our children.
Absolutely, and without that team, we would not have the flexibility or the creativity to come up with these cost-saving solutions.
Yeah, and secondly, I think we have to mention our bus drivers. That's not an easy job either. If you can imagine some of the roads that our bus drivers travel every day, regardless of the weather, regardless of the conditions, they're transporting our children safely to school. We're going to talk finances, but that's my final point, and then we'll move on. But number one, the most important priority is safety of our children. We will never never compromise safety in order to be efficient. We will never compromise safety of our children for anything. That's primary, that these children get to school every day. And one thing I think our drivers do a great job at is not only getting them here safely, but they get them here, for the most part, in a pleasant, smile on their face kind of thing. And that's not easy either.
That's true. That's true. The environment, in addition to the safety, I think they've done an excellent job with, and it's certainly not something that you can just walk into and have that effect on the students. We have experienced drivers who they know how to handle those situations.
We do, so it's a nice opportunity to thank all of our bus drivers who, again, every day provide an outstanding service to the children and the families in our community. So, again, it takes a team. We have a transportation committee, and again, tell us a little bit about what that group does. Tell us a little bit about the team and why is that important?
Sure. Well, the committee is comprised of both school administrators, the assistant principals at the buildings, yourself and myself. In addition, we also have Janet Hagel and Phil Jeffrey from First Student. And also drivers are welcome into that committee. And we look to them for a lot of feedback as far as what's working, what's not working. Basically what that committee does, I like to think of it as just a way to take all of our points of view. We're all working in different areas of the district, and we're all able to see what kind of feedback we can get from all of our stakeholders, if you will, all of the people that we work closely with and provide customer service to. And then I think we can take each of our own creativities, if you will, and then, like I said, combine them to make sure that our operation is safe, that it is efficient, and again, that the environment for the students is one that is going to lead to better learning in the classroom. Right. And I think we do an amazing job with that.
Good, thank you. If a member, a parent, a member of the community ever has concerns, how would they voice a concern related to transportation?
I like to say that my door is always open here in the administration building, and they're more than welcome to come in and talk to me. Really, there are a number of routes. They can call, they can email, they can talk to a bus driver if they have a free moment that they can voice a concern to them. They're more than welcome to send in a note with their student, or like I said, just stop by. It's always more than welcome.
Okay, for parents, again, if you need to make changes, you have questions, you have concerns related to the transportation, contact Doug, or you can get a hold of the bus driver, and the bus driver will most likely give you information on how you can get a hold of Doug. But I can say this, because again, just being around the community for many, many years and being involved in transportation for 20 plus years, Mr. Walters is outstanding. And here's what makes you unique, and I don't mind tooting your horn here a little bit, is Doug really comes with first of all, safety, student first attitude. And student first, obviously a play of words because our contractor is First Student. But Doug understands that the reason we do this is for our children, and safety is most important. Now, saying that, Doug's also a resident of our community and a graduate of Susquehannock High School, so he's one of our own. And I think that does something special with you in transportation, because you also then want to make sure that we're providing the best bang for the buck that we can do for everyone in our community. So let's talk about some of that financial information. First of all, Doug, tell us a little bit about the background of the PASBO study and the information it compares and what it'll look at, please.
Sure. Well, basically what PASBO does is an annual student transportation benchmarking survey. They've been doing this since 2008. And what they do is they collect data from each of Pennsylvania's 500 school districts, and they compile that data, and basically what they churn out, what the end result is something that administrators can look at to determine what factors are really influencing transportation costs versus what might not be. Basically, there are a couple of major indexes or categories, if you will, that this report has given us some insight into.
Yeah, no, it's one of the primary factors is benchmarking numbers is cost per student. And I kind of equate this as kind of interesting. When you look at benchmarking numbers, again, it's not the end all, it's not everything, but it's a benchmark. It gives you an idea, okay, now, if you look at cost per student, obviously, if we're transporting 3,000 some children every day, and Dallastown or Redline is transporting 5,000 and Southeastern's transporting 2,800, if we look at the cost per student for us to provide that service, it is, again, it's not the end all, but it does give us the ability to say, okay, is what we're doing efficient? So why don't you share that data?
Sure. Well, basically what the latest results have turned up is that the statewide average is a little bit over $900 per student to transport them to school, versus what we would call the Lincoln Intermediate Unit Average, which is the average of all of those school districts inside LIU 12.
Right.
Basically what they're looking at is just over $700 per student. And our results that we've been able to achieve in this district are about $556 per student. So just in terms of the cost per student to transport on a yearly basis, we're coming in almost $400 under the state and almost $200 under the LIU average, which is amazing.
That is amazing. I know that some of the benchmarking data then supports how you do that. For example, you achieve that by the number of children you have on bus, assigned to buses. So for example, if you have 20 children assigned to a bus or 60 children assigned to a 72 passenger bus, obviously you need less buses. So provide some of that data.
Sure. Well, the PASBO benchmarking results do break down, like I said, some more categories that we can look at.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those would be the daily cost per bus, which is something that we've been able to work out with First Student in our contract, which is, again, it's a very good contract. The buses per the number of 100 students. And again, we come in well under the statewide and LIU averages, which are both just under 2, and we're coming in at 1.2 buses per 100 students. The simple capacity utilization, which is just a big word for how well do you fill the buses, we come in at 145%, and some people might say, well, how do you come in over 100%? Well, we're certainly not overcrowding our buses,
right.
But what we're doing is we're looking at which vehicles on their particular routes can we kind of assign more students to based on ridership, and that's something that's looked at over a long period of time to see where those trends are.
Yeah. Well, the other way we can achieve that obviously is by tiering a bell system. So for example, if you have a bus that has a capacity of 72 children and we're at 145, that's because we're using that bus twice. Really, we're using it for a secondary run, and then we're using it for an elementary run. So in effect, to get 145%, for example, we may have 65 elementary children and 45 secondary children assigned to that bus. So we're in effect having 130 children, or in this case, 145 children assigned to one bus. Assuming that bus would be 100 capacity, which you're not, but you understand the math.
Right.
So again, you use that bus more than one time. And so that certainly is the best practice also. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Last but not least, another important factor that you do have to consider, and often is not something that would stick out in one's mind, would be simply the age of our fleet. The statewide average is about 8.4 years. The LIU comes in at about 9.1 years. And again, thankfully, with our excellent relationship with First Student, our buses are coming in around 6 years of age on average. And again, just the newness of those vehicles lowers your maintenance costs. Again, it provides a better atmosphere when students are riding on newer vehicles. So I think that it has dual purposes.
Yeah, less breakdowns, less interruptions of service. Obviously, every time a bus breaks down on the road, the bus is late, or you have to send another bus out. So it minimizes those kind of changes. And here's the other thing it does: is school districts are reimbursed from the Pennsylvania Department of Education a percentage to provide student transportation costs, and it's a very complicated formula. And the formula really deals with quite a few variables, including the number of students assigned to a bus, including the number of miles the bus drives with students each day, the number of miles the bus goes without students each day. But another variable is the age of the fleet. And in order to maximize reimbursement, an average age of the fleet of about 5 to 6 years is ideal to maximize reimbursement. So again, when we talk about being efficient, certainly we want to minimize breakdowns. We want to have safe buses. We want to have, modern technology in our buses for safety, but also we're trying to maximize reimbursement from the state also, which again is, I'm not going to explain that in 5 minutes, believe me. We do seminars throughout the state and we spend hours explaining that reimbursement formula, but nonetheless, the age of the fleet is a critical component of that. And again, we want to maximize our reimbursement. It's all tax dollars, but if we can minimize the local investment in that transportation services, certainly it benefits all of our local residents of the Southern York County School District. Okay, show us what the results of all that means.
Sure. Well, based on what we've done, versus the state average and versus the LIU average, we're able to break that down into a dollars and cents amount that we can tell people that we've saved. And basically, we're transporting between 3,200 and 3,400 students on our buses, and the annual budget for transportation this year is going to be just under $1.8 million. And basically, our annual savings would be about $495,591 when compared to the LIU average, and even greater, almost $1.25 million when compared to the statewide average.
Yeah, that's a big number. And again, I want to make sure everyone understands that number. On a per student basis, here at Southern York County School District, due to routing, due to efficiency in assigning children, due to the work of a great committee, including our relationship. And I shouldn't say including, primarily one of the important things is our relationship with First Student and their local management, Phil Jeffrey, Janet Hagel, all of our bus drivers. It takes a team to achieve this, our district administrators. It takes a team to achieve this kind of results. We are spending about $500,000 less on a per student basis providing transportation services every year for what we believe is an outstanding transportation service where our children are coming to school safely every day. And that's a lot of money. And again, okay, $500,000. Well, guess what? That can put in the classroom 15 teachers that might otherwise be spent. If we're just average, if we're just doing what's average to other school districts in our area, that's 15 teachers we're able to put in the classroom. And that's amazing. And that's why it's so important for us to be efficient in our operations. Real quick, I know one of, we deal with our community every day, and you've heard me say this, we have such a great community. We have, again, I think because of my gray hair, I'm starting to show my age, but we have a long history of the people of Southern York County School District treating education as very, very important. Yes, but we also have a strong history of our facilities being important. You look at our facilities, they're incredible. They're well maintained. They're not Taj Mahals like some places you go to, but they're good, strong, solid, buildings, and they're well cared for. And I think our transportation system, you could say the same. It's not the Taj Mahal of transportation systems. It's not a system where, we're putting 15 kids on a bus and they're only on the bus 15 minutes. But we're providing a good, safe transportation system for our children, $500,000 less than on average than other school districts in our area. And I think that's important to point out. It really is. Every now and then, again, when we talk to our community, one of the concerns are, gosh, I see a bus go by my house, there's only 10 kids on it. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think it's just a matter of making sure that information is widely available to anyone who has a question. And I think, just in a hypothetical situation like that, it's best to just, find out, hey, where do you live? Okay, what buses might be going past your house? At what point on their run might they be passing your house?
Yeah.
What observations do they have? What information can I provide? And I think the vast majority of cases, it's the kind of thing that just a little sharing of information, a little communication, and we can patch things up.
Yeah, good. And I guess my other experience, and I think this is important to know, because that we have an efficiency committee here in the district, and we want all of your questions and concerns because we want to make sure we're transparent and open. in everything we do. But that's one of the questions that comes up now and then, and Doug's right on. Obviously, well, depends where the bus is on the run and so forth. But the other component is we assign every child a bus run, and not every child takes advantage of that every day. But perhaps in bad weather, or perhaps in certain days and certain needs, those children, particularly at the secondary level, where we have some of our children who are driving to school or riding with an older sibling. But again, we provide a seat for every child on that bus, because oftentimes then on bad weather days they need a seat on that bus to get to school. So just to give you a sense of some of the complexity involved in the planning. So we'll wrap it up here a little bit, but reflect a little bit on 1 year. What are some of the feeling of accomplishment, and maybe some things that, gosh, I wish I would have known this before I got into it, kind of feelings.
Wow. Okay. Well, my first impression just has to be it's an absolute privilege to be part of such a great team, such a great community. Like you said, I grew up in this district, and I was one of those kids on the bus every day, and I feel like this is a good opportunity for me to be giving back. I had such a good experience here. I want to make sure that my daughter and the other students who go to school with her are having an equally, if not better, experience and opportunities to learn. I guess things that I enjoy. I really enjoy working with the community and just making sure that everyone's on the same page. Sometimes the news isn't the best. Sometimes it's great. I just want to be there to kind of share that experience with everyone and make sure they know that there's someone here who they can talk to about their transportation concerns, regardless of how simple they may sometimes be or how complex. Things I wish I had known. It's a whole other world. I've had some excellent opportunities to read up on what other districts are doing and good articles on other transportation coordinators. And the one thing they always say is it's not just the yellow buses lining up, at the school and then driving back and lining up at the depot. There's so much more that goes into it. I mean, the parents and the students know that, and sometimes you need a good reminder of how complex it can really be.
Yeah.
And
good.
Those are those learning experiences I've had.
Well, you do a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today on Warrior TV. So for Mr. Mark Rill, our Coordinator of Marketing and Public Information, for Mr. Doug Walters, our Coordinator of Student Transportation, both those gentlemen are excellent in what they do. I'm Wayne McCullough. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you next time.